fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God!
Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to a very special Simspeed TV presentation. This is the Ozicar V8 Series, round 2 of the 6-week season from the Autodromo Jose Carlos Paz, the Interlagos circuit in Brazil, a legendary place, and we're sure to see some interesting V8 racing here today on this Friday night. For Simspeed TV, my name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Nick Scaradu. Nick, it's round 2 of the championship, coming out of the first round at Zolder. Well, it's certainly going to be interesting coming to this track here at Interlagos. 2 races tonight, 15 minutes and 25 minutes, and what a place to do it. This track is a great mixture of elevation changes, tight corners, hairpins, and sweepers. It's great for racing, especially in V8s.
Yeah, that's it, Reese. Checking out the championship as well. We've got Sean Linsell to James Davis and Martin Turner taking out the top 3. So just looking at the qualifying that's just wrapping up now, we've got Martin Turner on second on the grid. So yeah, he'll be poised to take a good amount of points. Yeah, looking forward to seeing the racing tonight.
Yeah, certainly. We're in the final minute of qualifying, and Stuart Crawford has managed to take pole for this one by around about 0.5 of a second. So that's quite the performance from Stuart Crawford on 1-lap pace. Now, it's a 10-car grid that's going to be forming for this one. We just want to say, get involved in this series. It's certainly one that's certainly doable. It's a very short season, only 6 weeks. There's plenty of spots left. Remember, after 6 weeks, the points are reset. So very short seasons in a series like this. Same format as the Ozicar Skip Barber and the Turbo Touring Car series as well. So exactly the same. It's a very fun format, and Ozicar would very much love you to get involved. But we are now into the race session. Race 1, 15 minutes. This is only going to be a very short sprint. The grid as follows. It's going to be Stuart Crawford on pole position with Martin Turner joining him on the front row. Simon Mazzomo and Daniel Hetterscheid on row 2. Wayne Harrison-Watt rounds out the top 5 with Jason Ress alongside him. Jaeger Pascoe and Jason Dibitetto in 7th and 8th. Now, 11-car field is going to be rounded out by Troy Maguire, Julian Mookie, and Michael Yip taking to the grid as well, we believe. So a small grid of Australian touring cars for the second round of the championship. If you're interested, make sure to get involved and like Ozicar on Facebook, where you'll be able to find the details of this series.
Yeah, that's it, Reese. As well with Ozicar, got the Skip Barbers and the Turbo Touring cars. So yeah, they've really got something for everyone.
They certainly have, and I race in the Turbo Touring Car Series myself. It's a very fun championship, worth getting involved on at the V8 side as well. 32-degree track temperature as we're seeing, so it's a reasonably warm track out there in Sao Paulo, which means that the drivers are going to have to be careful on their tyres towards the end of this race. It's only a short sprint, but the amount of power going through these rear wheels can certainly rip up the rubber.
Yeah, that's right, Reece. So they're quite a heavy car with quite a narrow tyres front and rear. So yeah, they do tend to have quite a lot of wheel spin, and even over 15 minutes, you will get a bit of degradation there.
Well, we're entering the final 10 seconds of this gridding period. Everyone is now on the starting grid, and everyone will be preparing for those lights to come up momentarily. Can Stuart Crawford get a good start and maintain his lead coming into turn 1, or can Martin Turner pull a fast one on him as the lights go up? Ozicar V8 Series round 2 at Interlagos is go. And it's an excellent start from Stuart Crawford, but a big bog down at the line from Martin Turner. He's going to go falling back to the lower reaches of the field. Coming into turn 1 for the first time, though, Stuart Crawford leads. And Simon Mazzomo assuming second place. Up into third is Daniel Hederscheid. They're already going side by side for fourth and fifth. Jason Ress and Wayne Harrison-Watt. He's stuck on the outside. Oh, and there's some big oversteer in the background from Troy Maguire, who manages to get back onto the circuit. But this is already quite the start that we're seeing.
Yeah, that's it, Reece. Good to see everyone getting away cleanly through the Centre S. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. That's Troy Maguire with further issues, going straight into the wall. Fortunately, there's not a huge amount of cars coming round to collect him so he can get going. Julian Mookie has fallen to the back of the grid as well, just behind Maguire. But the field are now into the hairpin section in the middle sector of the lap. And it looks to me like Stuart Crawford is not able to shake Simon Mazzomo here on lap 1. Coming then down into Junsao, the final proper turn on the circuit. Mazzomo will have to absolutely nail the throttle if he wants to get a good exit and get into the draft down the front stretch here at Interlagos. It's a very long, flat-out section to end the lap here. You navigate a couple of turns while doing it, but it certainly presents an opportunity for some slipstreaming and maybe a move into turn 1. But as they complete lap 1, Mazzomo not quite close enough to get the move completed. In the background, though, we might be seeing some moves being made because Daniel Hederscheid still holding off the advances of the recovering Martin Turner.
Yeah, looks like these front pack of Stuart, Simon, Daniel and Martin are breaking away from Jason Rees and Wayne Harrison. So could be a 4-car battle for the lead later on over the next 12 minutes or so.
Certainly could, and you already see the gap for third and fourth really closing, and for fifth and sixth behind, well, Jason Ress setting a 1 minute 44 on his first lap, and Wayne Harrison-Watt only 3/10 behind. So these guys both getting an all right start from their positions. They've actually swapped from their starting positions on the grid, and it's a problem for Jason Ress. He's having a bit of trouble with his car swinging around on him in the slower corners. This could potentially bring a opportunity to Wayne Harrison-Watt if Jason cannot get that car handling properly.
Yeah, not too many movers and shakers. I know Daniel Hederscheid is now, up in the third, so starting from fourth on the grid.
Indeed he is, and oh no, problem for Wayne Harrison-Watt. He's had a half spin coming out of Junsao, so that has released Jason Ress from that particular battle. Replay thanks to our friends at Modem Simulation. See what happened to Mr. Harrison-Watt here. Coming out of Junsao in second gear, easy to spin up the rears. And once that car was pointed in that trajectory, not much Wayne could do to recover that, unfortunately. Tyres are still cold.
Yeah, quite a wide part of the circuit, so yeah, it was very quick on the re-entry.
Well, meanwhile, Seems that Stuart Crawford continuing to hold off the advances of Simon Mazomo at the front, but Jason Di Benedetto chasing down Jager Pascoe now for 6th place. Only lap 3, but drivers are only just starting to get into a rhythm. It's very difficult in these machines to get a consistent rundown. They're so heavy, so powerful, and under-tired as well. There's an awful lot of strategy required to get these things around a track like Interlagos smoothly. And it looks like Di Benedetto slightly less successful through that sector of the circuit, but it's looking like it is on now for the top 4. Stuart Crawford now making a couple of mistakes, and this has brought Simon Mazomo into contention. Mazomo having a little look down at Junsao, but he backs out of it. Now the lead is definitely on.
Just catching down the back of the pack, just had Troy and Wayne Harrison just dicing for 8th and 9th, but yeah, just seeing how Simon Mazomo is going down. Oh, yeah, he's just
down the inside, or contact. Making contact for the race lead, and have a look at Hedderscheid here. Very opportunistic move. He's going to take Mazomo around the outside at turn 3, and have a look at this. He's straightened it up nicely. He might get Crawford as well. So Daniel Hedderscheid starting this lap in 3rd, going to make a move for the race lead down at Decido de Lago. And he gets it done. And that was a great bit of opportunistic driving from Daniel.
Yeah, really threaded the needle on that. No, yeah, nice and cleanly both past Mazomo and Crawford.
Yes, I think Mazomo and Crawford would be a little miffed at the contact they made with each other, because now they are stuck behind Hedderscheid, who makes a slight mistake. He ran a little deep into the right-hand hairpin, but he's covering off Crawford nicely here. And this top 4 absolutely locked together as we enter the last 9 minutes of this race. Time is absolutely flying. Another minute and a half and we'll be halfway.
Talking time as well, Daniel Hedderscheid with a blinder of a 134.592. So yeah, not only taking those 2 spots, but also putting the fastest lap in so far.
Yeah, great form from Hedderscheid now that the tyres are up to temperature. So now we wait to see if there are any moves made at turn 1 this time. Mazomo still a long way back from Crawford, but you can see he's going a little bit deeper on the brakes, carrying them a little further into the corner. And that is benefiting Mazomo in some respects. We'll have a look at Hedderscheid though. He had a bit of trouble getting on the throttle out of the center S. Gave a slight advantage to Stuart Crawford, but now that they're back onto the straight, seems like not much of a chance for Crawford, and Hedderscheid's going to cover him off once again. It's difficult at Interlagos, especially in the opening sector. That long flowing left-hander of turn 3, difficult to navigate in a car like this. It requires a much different approach than you would in a more downforce dependent car.
Yeah, and super quick down that straight as well. So yeah, speeds it up to 250 k's an hour, hard on the brakes into that left-hander.
Well, the 2 teammates, Hedderscheid and Crawford, now running 1-2. But it looks like Simon Mazomo, looking from the back of Stuart Crawford, is nowhere near done with this battle. Neither is Martin Turner. Remember, Turner qualified on the front row in 2nd place and got a very poor launch off the line. So he's 3 positions away from hopefully getting back onto that lead, but with a big slide out of Junsao, he's lost some of that momentum versus Simon Mazomo. He's going to have to wait for another lap or so to have another go at that move.
Yeah, Crawford just a little bit too far back at 3 to 4 tenths of a second to get a move in, so it looks like he's just going to sit in behind his teammate of Daniel Hedderscheid.
And that would be a reasonable strategy to employ. You don't want to go taking out your teammate, especially in a short race like this. Jason Ress in 5th place, having some troubles getting it slowed down in time for the center S. Defensive from Stuart Crawford, picking the rear out on entry. starting to get a little nervous, I think, behind Simon Mazomo, because have a look at the lead that Hetterscheid has managed to pull out now. With that clear air in front of him, Hetterscheid is absolutely motoring. Oh no, Crawford! Oh, big slide. Goodness me, that double right-hander is difficult enough to navigate in an Australian touring car, but my goodness, you really get backed up in the middle sector. Turner and Mazomo kissing bumpers ever so slightly. But it looks like this is going to be a race for second if we keep going like this.
Yeah, just seeing Hetterscheid put in just over a second, a 1.3 second gap now, so looks like he might be motoring away. Only 5 minutes on the clock now, so yeah, we'll be up to the others to try and close that gap back in.
Certainly will. There's another three-way battle going on track right now. Oh, problems again for Troy Maguire, not able to... well, actually, no, that was a problem for Di Bettetto in front of Troy Maguire. Not the greatest exit out of Junção, so now Maguire, minus his bonnet, has a nice run on him coming down into turn one. They both get on the brakes hard, but Maguire's going to have to move back over to the racing line because not quite far up enough to make the move on Di Bettetto. This is for 6th, 7th and 8th, and for 2nd, 3rd and 4th once again, super close into Decido de Largo. Mazomo, currently the meat in the sandwich of two Mustangs.
Great turnout too by Team Sinfinity with, yeah, fair few cars out there. Hetterscheid doing such an excellent effort at the front there. Now pushing the gap to, yeah, just over 2 seconds.
Certainly, and I would agree, the former Team Sinfinity has been excellent so far in this race, but you see that second place battle really starting to heat up behind. There are a couple of small taps between Crawford and Mazomo, and they're now all line astern coming into Junção. Mazomo has another look, but it's not going to help him. A slight mistake from Crawford up ahead. He's not gotten the best of exits. So can Mazomo stay in the draft and make the move for second place down at turn one? He's certainly close enough to get it done. The run starts to materialize here. Crawford is leaving a car's width open on the inside for Mazomo to sneak through here, but can he hold on to it? You can hold it round the outside in turn one at Interlagos, but it looks like Simon Mazomo has managed to get it done. So Crawford slotting in just ahead of Martin Turner there, who must have gotten a slightly nasty surprise.
Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to turn out with all three of them going 3 wide into turn one, but almost thought Crawford was going to try and put a move back on Mazomo.
Yeah, he's showing hints of it, isn't he? Certainly not done with Mazomo, so we'll have to keep an eye on that battle. The number 35 at Daniel Hetterscheid, though, completely untroubled, and he's got the lapped car of Julian Muki in between him and the other guys vying for that top spot in this race. So when these guys come up to Muki, it's going to be quite the jostling, I have to say. Mazomo pulling out a slight little gap there over Mr. Crawford. And it looks like... go on, Nick.
Oh, yes, sorry, Reese. I did see Crawford pulled a bit of a slide coming out of turn 8, so just losing, yeah, precious meters. So it will take him a little bit to get back on the bumper again as Mazomo.
And continuing my trend of getting predictions completely wrong, they're now all by Julian Muki, and there has not been a single incident. So all good letting them by on the front stretch. But have a look at this. Further back in the field, this is Jaeger Pascoe and Troy Maguire fighting hard. And Troy Maguire, remember, just getting by Jason Di Bettetto on the last lap. Jaeger going defensive here versus Maguire. Perhaps a bit of a preemptive defense because Maguire wasn't quite far up enough to get a move done, but that compromised line from Jaeger Pascoe is now allowing Troy Maguire to go right up to the bumper of the Mustang.
Yeah, seeing Maguire using all the road out, he did seem to run a little bit wide coming onto the straight and just ran wide again, but yeah, pushing really hard. Oh,
There we
it
go.
looks like getting the move done.
Correct, and Troy Maguire making his way past Jager Pascoe for 6th place. Meanwhile, have a look at Stuart Crawford. He's fallen behind Martin Turner, and we're going to get a modem simulation replay of how that eventuated. Now he's coming up to the double right, and Crawford's had some problems here before. Oh yeah, there we go, he's just gone too deep. Fortunately managing to keep it out of the grass, but that is a position lost to Martin Turner for our pole sitter. It's a very deceiving turn. The double right-hander in the middle of the lap. Very easy to break a little bit later. But it's now out to 2.6 seconds as the gap to our race lead. Daniel Hederscheid has wasted no time and hit all of his marks so far. We're going to have to be careful though, because we're hearing news that a driver is pulling in half a second a lap. It was Mazomo last lap who pulled in that gap, but it is the final lap now, so I believe that Hederscheid is a bit too far ahead for Mazomo to take any real advantage, but as it stands, looks like Hederscheid is on course to take a great win, and Martin Turner is holding off a podium drive against Stuart Crawford, our pole sitter. You guys have to be careful here in this final stage of the lap. It's very easy to get your rhythm off and overshoot, hit another car. The opposite of what you want. Down to the hairpin, no moves being made. The last chance they're going to get is at Junsao, and then the run up to the start-finish line. It looks like they're all a bit too spaced out for any of that to eventuate. So final real corner gone, and Daniel Hederscheid is going to cross the line to take victory in race 1 here at Interlagos in the Ozicar V8 Series. A measured drive, very beautifully done, stayed out of trouble and made the moves when it mattered.
Yeah, great work by Hederscheid. Yeah, coming from fourth on the grid. Yeah, there was a few with Stuart Crawford making that mistake at the start, bogging down. But yeah, excellent drive.
Certainly was, and have to give props to Martin Turner as well to recover to that 3rd place and end up beating Stuart Crawford after losing out to him in the launch off the line. There's Troy Maguire, who's crossed the line in 6th place despite the extensive damage he has to the front of his car. It was a good drive from Troy to bring that one home, and Jager Pascoe ultimately has had to settle for a 7th place. The last finishes have already come by, so now it's time to take a look at these unofficial race results. It's Hederscheid, Mazomo, and Turner, your top 3, covered by 3.4 seconds, and Stuart Crawford coming home at just 0.6 behind Turner. Jason Ress is going to round out the top 5, and Troy Maguire rounding out the top 6. Jager Pascoe finishes where he started in 7th, and it's the same case for Jason Di. Wayne Harrison Watt, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Julian Mookie finishing 1 lap down to complete our 10 classified finishes. Well, to start off the night, I think that was quite the entertaining little race we had, but we've got one more coming up here, Nick. We've got race 2 coming up shortly, and it's going to be 25 minutes long, so an extra 10 minutes for the drivers to work with, and I believe a pit stop as well, which will certainly spice up the strategy.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, quite a sprint race, but with that pit stop, yeah, we'll really add a bit of a strategy to it. Whether or not people will want to stay out or try and pull in a bit more earlier.
We'll have to wait and see for that one. You're watching Simspeed TV, and we're going to go on a very short break in between these races, but do not go away. We'll be bringing you race 2 and the associated qualifying very soon. This is the Ozicar V8 Series on Simspeed TV.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we are back on Simspeed TV to bring you race 2 of round 2 of the Ozicar V8 Series here at Interlagos. Well, with a race 15 minutes in length that we just saw, it was Mr. Daniel Hederscheid that took victory, and he was followed by Simon Mazzomo and Martin Turner. Our pole sitter Stuart Crawford unable to capitalise. He could only take 4th. But we now move into race 2, longer 25-minute race with a pit stop. And we're in qualifying at the moment to decide how the drivers start on the grid. Once again, my name's Reese Gardner, and with me in the commentary box is Nick Scaraju. Nick, we're seeing quite a bit of spectacular driving going on here from Daniel Hederscheid, our race 1 winner, as he makes his way around his outlap in this qualifying session. Drivers only get 3 laps to set a time, so he needs to nail it.
Yeah, it's just amazing watching these V8 supercars go around Interlagos, seeing them squirm and slide, and yeah, using all right up against all those track limits. So I'm putting my money on Hederscheid. I reckon tonight we'll get the second qualifying session, so I'll be curious to see how he goes.
Yeah, he'll certainly have a bit more of a skip in his step after his race 1 win. And it's that kind of motivation that you need in order to be successful in sim racing. Good things happen, more good things happen, or so they say. Well, he's going to come across the line here to start off his first lap in this qualifying session. And it's a very difficult run down to turn 1. You're braking almost as soon as you cross the start-finish line, but as late as you can into turn 1 and 2. The center S, use as much of the curbs as you can, and then long left-hander Curvasol coming onto the back straight. Very difficult to put the power down in these 650 horsepower V8 engine beasts. Down into Besido del Lago, double left-hander bringing you onto a back stretch. The next turn here, the double right-hander, this is Ferradura. This is the place where our pole sitter in race 1 unfortunately threw away a podium. The Hederscheid keeps it nice and tight through the double apex, and hard on the brakes then for the hairpins. First is Esse, then it's Pinarino through the dip here, and a little bit of banking through the corner as well to help you launch yourself out of it. On the run to Bico de Pato, the slowest turn on the circuit. Got to use as much of the curb as you can to get the car rotated. Get on the throttle nice and smoothly. Don't have any wheel spin through Magulo on the run down to Junção. The final proper turn on the circuit, using all of the curb on the right-hand side to extend the run through the corner, keep up his momentum, and now it is keeping the throttle flat and being as precise with your steering as you can through Subida dos Boxes, that left-hand sweeper, the final corner at Interlagos, and cutting across the pit entry to set what should be a very quick lap time. It's a 1 minute 34.392. That's pretty close to what Stuart Crawford did for his pole time in race 1. So Hederscheid with a great opening salvo.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be pretty quick, so yeah, be curious to see if Crawford can come back with a faster time again. Just on board with Simon Mazzomo. Just seeing how his sectors are going. Yeah, it was very quick through sector 3, so possibly might be a shoe-in for pole.
We'll have to wait and see, because Mazzomo has one more corner to go. Slight twitch coming through Magulo. So a little bit more stability to be gotten from that Texsense Fitstyle Motorsports Commodore. But through Subida dos Boxes he goes, and a nice smooth line for Simon Mazzomo. We're hearing hints that this lap is going to be quick, but it looks like 5/10 is going to be the gap between, 3/10, sorry, between Simon Mazzomo and Daniel Hederscheid. In the midst of all of that, Troy Maguire managing to secure a provisional 3rd for now. Less than half a second off Hederscheid. That's some good pace for Troy Maguire to be having at this stage.
Yeah, starting to see these times tumble down. The top 3 only separated by about half a second, so I'm expecting to see a few more drivers inside that 1 second gap to Hederscheid.
Yes, indeed. Some very close times possibly eventuating from this qualifying session. And we saw a bit of Wayne Harrison-Watt's wheel work through the slower parts of the circuit. Very smooth driving from our fifth place, in race 1. Let's see what kind of time he sets. This is going to be in the 1 minute 36s, 36.391. So that gets him into 6th place. Now, what about Stuart Crawford? He's just gone 2nd with a 34.64, which is somewhat close to his pole time, but he's still got 4 tenths to find if he wants to beat Daniel Hederscheid. Oh, hold on. I've just noticed Stuart Crawford's pulled off the circuit, and he is not taking any further part in this qualifying session.
Yeah, he did just run wide, I think, on his second fast lap. So yeah, would have. I think he's going to head back to the pits and start over again.
I don't think he'll be able to, because you only get 3 laps in this session, and he is counted as being on his lap 3. So there's no more opportunities for Stuart Crawford to take pole for this second race. Daniel Hederscheid remaining at the top of the timesheets. What of Martin Turner, though? He currently sits in 5th. He has to gain 8 tenths if he wants to get pole. Has he managed to grab it is the big question. Well, he set a low 35 there for his final lap, and he stays in 5th place, was not able to improve on his quickest time. Jaeger Pascoe, meanwhile, can he improve on his 7th place? It's a 36.058 for him, and that gives him 1 position over Wayne Harrison-Watt. Julian Mookie and Jason DiBitetto still have yet to set their times in this session. They don't have much time to do it, only 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like Jason DiBitetto is pulled out again, so potentially might not be registering a time in this qualifying session. Julian Mookie looks like he's persevering on, so yeah, the last couple of minutes can potentially get you a little bit further up in the field.
Yeah, they certainly can. It looks like Stuart Crawford had returned to the circuit, but I think he's realized that he won't have any more opportunities. He stopped, and now he's going to go back to the pits again. So now Julian Mookie coming round to set his first qualifying time. Wayne Harrison-Watt practicing a pit entry. That's going to be important in this race. So Mookie crosses the line, and it's going to be 1 minute 38.457 for him, and it's going to put him last of the cars that have set a time. But with Jason DiBitetto apparently not completing this session, Mookie is not going to start dead last, so that is a plus for him. Stuart Crawford, I think, exiting the pits again. He might be practicing pit entry and exit.
Yeah, great work by Crawford, utilising the last couple of minutes, because with this mandatory pit stop, you can definitely make a lot of time up if you know what you're doing.
Certainly can. It's been a big draw for the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series as well, with a mandatory pit stop for 2 tyres in race 2 in that series. Unsure exactly what the mandatory pit stop rules are here, but I would presume that they are much the same. We'll see drivers experimenting with different tyre combinations and seeing how they can keep their wear down on one end of the car. So Stuart Crawford then, he's going to secure 2nd at the end of this session, but just taking the time to make sure he has his marks down pat. Who knows? This kind of practice may be what wins him the race at the end of the next 25 minutes. It seems like Jason Ress is thinking the same thing, because that pit exit at Interlagos is certainly something, isn't it? It's almost a part of the racetrack, the way you have to navigate it.
Yeah, that's right. Just catching Stuart Crawford really nailing that entry. So yeah, looks like he's pretty well dialed for the race coming up. Just quickly, Reese, what are they taking, tyres, or is it just fuel for this 25-minute race?
I believe it would be tyres. That is how it is done in the Turbo Touring cars. But I guess we'll both be learning something here today, because the session is now over and we are in the race. Daniel Hederscheid has secured pole. Stuart Crawford's going to line up alongside him. Simon Mazzomo and Troy Maguire on row 2. A great qualifying performance from Maguire. Martin Turner completing the top 5, and Jaeger Pascoe in 6th place. Harrison Watt and Mookie on the 4th row. And Jason Ress is going to be the last car to set a time. Not sure if Jason DiPotetto is going to be taking the start here. It looks like he might not be, because Jason DiPotetto is now out of the server. So we are going to get a 9-car start for this second race of the night. Now the big question is clean side versus dirty side of the grid. We do remember from race 1 that Martin Turner bogged down off the line, and maybe part of that was due to the fact that he was on the driver's left side of the grid, where Stuart Crawford is now. Not as much rubber laid down on that particular side of the track, so you don't have as much of an advantage when you actually have to dump the clutch and get going.
Yeah, just waiting for the last couple of cars up to load up on the grid. Just had a message about the tyres. So they will be taking 4 tyres. So it won't be just the 2. They'll be taking 4 tyres when they come into the pits.
Okay, and that is thanks to Simon Mazzomo for cluing us into that. The Australian touring car on iRacing takes all 4 tyres at a stop, no matter what you select. So it's going to be all 4 tyres for these guys as the lights go up once again. Race 2, round 2 of Ozicar V8 at Interlagos, and it is another good start on the right-hand side of the grid from our pole position starter, Daniel Hederscheid. Stuart Crawford not getting as well of a start, but he slots into second, side by side between Mazzomo and Maguire, and Troy Maguire has over-rotated. He is around, and he's going to have to get going all the way at the back of this 9-car grid, but they're making their way out of turn 3 for the first time, all clean otherwise, and it seems like no big side-by-side moves being made down into Tecido del Lago. Hederscheid leads.
I just caught on the start there. I think Julian Mookie might have had a jump start and then tried to redress, so potentially there could be a penalty handed out to him. But yeah, we'll see what happens. He is up into 6. He did start all the way down in 8th, so could switch him back.
Well, if he has jumped the start, then it's going to be an automated iRacing penalty, adding something in the vicinity of 15 seconds to his pit stop time. He's going for it side by side here with Jason Ress, and Wayne Harrison Watt getting in on this fighting as well. It's now Ress with the inside for the tight hairpin, and with the inside line, he gets the advantage and smashes onto the power. So now Mookie in a bit of trouble here from Wayne Harrison Watt. Is he going to go up the inside into Junsao? He's going to have a look, but not quite far up enough to make it work. So now Mookie is... The big question is he going to peel for the pits coming off the end of this first lap? Looks like he's not quite going for it this time around. If he has gotten a penalty, he will have 3 laps to serve it, I believe.
I actually think it might have been Jaeger Pascoe. I think I've got my car numbers mixed up, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm just catching at the front, David Hederscheid starting to already put a really big lead in. So yeah, 0.8 of a second in just over a lap. So yeah, putting the pressure on the field already.
Yeah, Hederscheid seems to be repeating what he's gone through in race 1 as we take a look at a modem simulation replay of the start. So the drivers get going, and oh yeah, I can see Jaeger Pascoe there in the background getting that jump start. So that will undoubtedly be a penalty for him. We'll go on board with him for this one. Yeah, it just looks to me like fairly clean, consistent start from all of these drivers, and then you see this side-by-side coming into turn 1. That was certainly something.
Yeah, see that puff of smoke just before the lights go off, but everyone seems pretty. Yeah, everyone seems pretty spread out. First few laps in.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it, and that's where you see Troy Maguire turning around on the exit of turn 1. And that was all she wrote. As we go back to live pictures, our top 4 have broken away from the rest of the field and staying relatively consistent in terms of gaps between them. There's a slight lock-up for Stuart Crawford in the number 54 car. That's not going to help him for the next couple of corners at least, and looks like Simon Mazzomo, as we saw in race 1, looking to get on the charge. And Mazzomo tried as best he could to make moves, but wasn't exactly forthcoming for him. Now it might be, though, because you just saw Stuart Crawford running wide at Interlagos. This could give Simon Mazzomo the little sniff of blood that he needs to bring the hunt on again. It's wide for Stuart Crawford through Ferradura. So Mazzomo firing his way towards the inside and going all the way across the curb. He's not able to clear Crawford, though. Crawford on the throttle a little bit quicker, maintaining the momentum around the outside. So once again, as in race 1, this battling for second, third and fourth is just allowing Hedderscheid to skip away into the lead of this race. Mazzomo is back into second. Can Martin Turner get third? Either way, it's not going to matter to Daniel Hedderscheid.
Yeah, that's it. Turner sitting in there, like knowing that there is some pit stops coming up, so probably don't want to rub panels and risk it too early on. Yeah, when before the pit stops are coming out.
Well, it's very close between these guys coming down the front stretch. They've been pushing each other very hard all event. So Mazzomo crosses the line ahead of Stuart Crawford for the first time this race. He'll certainly be happy with that, but can Crawford claw his way back? We'll have to wait and see. In terms of, I'm actually seeing our first pitter. It's Wayne Harrison-Watt bringing the number 142 into the pits. So up onto the jacks he comes to get 4 tyres. You'll have to wait and see what kind of timing this has for Watt. He's back down off the jacks, and looks like this might be serving a penalty. I get the feeling it was Wayne Harrison-Watt who was the one who jumped the start, because still sitting in his pit box for what should be coming up to 15 or 30 seconds. Very painful for Wayne, just sitting there in the pits, not able to do a thing.
Yeah, that's it. I thought I saw someone might have jumped the start, but yeah, I did get it twice. I got it incorrect twice.
All good,
yeah,
man.
But yeah, he has been stopped for over 40 seconds now, so something might be going on there.
Well, he's managed to get it going again, so that was a penalty for Wayne Harrison-Watt. He's going to come back out onto the circuit now, but he has lost an insurmountable amount of time. But up the front for third place, Stuart Crawford and Martin Turner have swapped positions. So that was a mistake for Crawford, I think, earlier on in the lap. Either that or a great move from Martin Turner. He's managed to get himself back up into a podium position again. Podium order is now the same as it was at the end of race 1. We'll go and have a look at this pass here from Martin Turner on the Modem Simulation replay, and wow, up the outside of the left-hander and down the inside of the right-hander. Pretty textbook move here at Interlagos.
Yeah, it appears Crawford does seem to have a little bit of, seems to be quite a bit slower on those tight and twisty turn 8 and 9 through the centre.
Yeah, he might have set up his car to work best through the long flowing turns at the start and end of the lap. Remember, this series is open setup, so every driver having the ability to tune the car to their desires, but these cars have a long-standing reputation of being difficult to set up exactly the way you like it. So drivers certainly having their work cut out for them. So as they come to the end of lap 5, Daniel Hederscheid still remaining in the lead. Is he going to go for the pits? No, not yet. Everyone's just waiting for the right possible time to come in. What we've got to think about, Nick, is the fact that when the tyres first go onto the car, they are stone cold and they do take their time to heat up. So it's a bit of a disadvantage to pitting early in that you have this period in the middle of the race where, oh wow, yeah, the 142 of Wayne Harrison-Watt confirmed. That was a jump start for him. I think that was the moment his night went down the drain, unfortunately. But in terms of the strategy up the front, certainly going to be beneficial to try and extend your stint a bit and maybe pit a few laps before the end, because if you have that period right in the middle of the race where you're still trying to get your tyres up to temperature and you've got drivers around you on hotter tyres, then it's going to be difficult to keep that position.
Yeah, talking about hot tyres, just watching Mizomo pull that gap back in. It was out to about 2.5 seconds, so he's pulled that back into about 1.5 seconds now, so he's on a real blinder. Curious to see what his next lap is when he comes around.
Yeah, I am too. Seems that once you get past the first 4 or 5 laps, Mizomo comes alive. So coming to the start-finish line once again, Hederscheid avoiding the pit lane, Mizomo avoiding the pit lane, so we'll see a time from him here. 1 minute 35.0, not quite as fast as his previous one, but still, it's a 35.183 for Hederscheid. Mizomo is still gaining.
Yeah, been catching some of the earlier races on Interlagos. Find a lot of people, if they're bunched in really tight, will do a bit of a fake into the pits, because you do come in like hard up on that left, but yeah, they're quite spaced out, so I don't think everyone will be playing any tricks on each other.
Yeah, certainly. Drivers have an awful lot of space to work with out on track. Meanwhile, the 074 of Jason Ress chasing the 042 of Jaeger Pasco. Jaeger is a position up from where he started, but Jason Ress, having started in 9th, has been on an absolute charge over the last 6.5 laps. And they're battling quite hard with each other as well. Cars lurching from corner to corner. Ress is doing well to keep up the pressure here.
Yeah, up 3 positions from his grid position, so yeah, putting in a really good show.
Notice Jaeger Pasco there, taking that narrower line out of the hairpin. I think that's what's keeping him ahead of Hess, is a little bit more of an efficient power application, and stuff like that as well will also help Jaeger Pasco. Slight lock up into Junsao, and unfortunately, Jason Ress has to do all of that hard work again. Our leaders, a couple of our leaders are into the pits, Mizomo and Crawford, having popped into the pit lane to take their stop. So out of our front runners, these guys will be the ones considered to pit early. Now, who is going to get the best time here? Looks like Crawford hesitated a little bit coming into his box. We'll have a look at Mizomo. Away and through. That was a very quick stop from both of them.
Yeah, real textbook by Mizomo. Pulled the car up right in his pit box and yeah, really nailed it out of there as well. But yeah, just as you mentioned before, slight hesitation from Stuart Crawford, so maybe might have misjudged where his pit box was.
Have a look at Jaeger Pasco and Jason Ress once again, side by side on the run up to Ferradura, and man, Jaeger Pasco is putting on the mother of all defensive drives here, not allowing Ress through, but he'll have to on that particular occasion, because just no grip on the outside through the hairpin for Jaeger. So there goes Jason Ress up into the top 5 in this race.
Yeah, great work by both Ress and Pasco, giving each other plenty of room, not really leaning on each other too much. nice wide circuit here at Interlagos.
Certainly is, and our race leader has popped into the pits. Daniel Hederscheid coasting along at 70 kilometers an hour. Now this is going to be one of the big talking points. How long will he stay stationary, and will that extra lap that Mazomo has on the tyres be enough to close the gap? There's Mazomo coming onto the start-finish straight now, and Hederscheid is away and out of the pit lane. Looks like he might have just done enough here.
Yeah, he's definitely got the jump on Mazomo, but yeah, Simon Mazomo will be carrying a little bit more speed as he comes around, but yeah, just by the looks of it, Hederscheid out of the pits quite safely, as well as a lap traffic car in between.
Yes, indeed. Julian Mookie there in the number 39, and he's currently running in 5th on track, with everyone else taking their pit stops as we speak. We'll see how that works out towards the end. The last driver of our front runners yet to pit is Martin Turner, and he's making his way through Junsao now. A little bit of a slide on the exit for good measure. He's thinking this is going to be the one of the last times I'm using these tyres, so don't have to worry too much about giving them a bit of stick. And into the pits he goes.
Yeah, Turner very well poised to be leading the championship, because yeah, he was from Zolder last week, 2nd overall in the points. So we'll be taking, providing he can get a good position in race 2, he'll be taking a lot of points over to round 3.
He certainly will. There's Hederscheid, Mazomo and company. Looks like Martin Turner just getting out of his box now and back onto the racetrack. This is going to be close between Martin Turner and Simon Mazomo, but it looks like Mazomo just carrying a little bit more momentum, only just clearing Turner.
Yeah, mentioning the championship too, really harps back to consistency. Hoping to see a few more cars out in the Ozicar V8 Series, because yeah, it's such a great grassroots sim racing series, and yeah, love seeing the V8s out there, as well as the Skip Barpers and the Audi touring cars.
Exactly right. A reminder that entries are still open for this Ozicar V8 Series, and there has been a change as Martin Turner makes his way past Mr. Mookie. Race seasons are now 6 weeks long in this series, so the nice short and sweet seasons. If you want to get some V8 racing in you, make sure to sign up for the Ozicar V8 Series. Just go to Ozicar on Facebook. You'll be able to find the details. That is a problem for Jason Ress, going off the track at Junsao, and has let Mazomo go. So we'll go back and have a quick look at what happened there to the 074. He's going to make it straight into the pits out of that one. He's going to be followed in by Julian Mookie, but looks like just a case of overshooting down at the final proper turn of the circuit. Here's another view. Down through Mogulo, the long descending left-hander. And that is, wow, okay. Looks like the brake pedal just went to the floor for him or something.
Yeah, bit of a shame for Jason Ress, like getting making up a few positions and stuff, but look, still 8 minutes to go, so it could potentially have a bit more damage limitation.
Yes, indeed. The lead, meanwhile, continuing to scintillate as it has. Daniel Hederscheid still getting the last little bits of temperature into his tyres. Mazomo took out 4/10 from him last lap and is continuing to chip away at this gap. It's now to 1.4 seconds. So Simon Mazomo, on the run of pace he's had, he has a bit more time than in race 1 to get this done. An extra 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this race, which translates to 5 laps or so of Interlagos. So we'll see if Simon Mazomo can use that time wisely.
Yeah, still with those 5 laps to go. So 1.2 seconds, not too big of a gap that his race gone. So yeah, it would be great to see Mazomo back on that bumper of Daniel Hederschild.
See some of the wheel work that Mr. Mazomo is employing through those first couple of turns. You've got to be very precise coming through the opening corners of this track. The gap has stayed pretty consistent since the last time we mentioned it. Drawing out 1/10 on him just about is Daniel Hederschild, so starting to respond to Mazomo's charge. With only 6 minutes left in this race, we still don't quite know which of these guys is going to come home for victory. Martin Turner, we've also got to consider as well. He is behind these guys by a couple of seconds, but he is going to have some of the best life in his tyres right at the end, which is going to be crucial.
Just catching a few gaps down at the back. Everyone seems to be giving each other plenty of room, so no one in too much trouble at this stage of the race. So yeah, looks like the last 5 minutes or so, just trying to bring it home.
Yeah, that's going to be the aim for a lot of these guys. Troy Maguire, very embattled competitor, as we've seen. But he's still going, he's still plodding along, is Mr. Maguire, and chasing down Jager Pascoe for 5th. Maguire would be very happy if he'd be able to get back into the top 5 at the end of this one. Because aside from his mistakes, I reckon it's been a pretty good drive from him, especially to secure that 4th place on the grid. He might want to use a bit less of the grass, though. Have a look at this coming down into turn 1. Jager Pascoe goes defensive, but looks like Maguire managing to make the lunge around the outside, and he gets the move done. So Troy Maguire now up into the top 5. Good to see.
Yeah,
For how long, though? Got to be careful, these guys. There's another battle between Mookie and Ress ensuing. Can Jason Ress outbrake him coming into Desito de Lago with the inside line? He is going to have the traction advantage briefly, but Mookie carrying a little bit more speed. He's going to now have the inside for Ferradura. Jason Ress, we've seen having some braking issues earlier on. Can he hold it side by side through Ferradura? This is being held really well by Julian Mookie. Ress trying to go for the move up the inside, but nothing doing for now. Oh no, Mookie's overshot. He's trying to protect the inside once again from Ress. Can Jason get the power down and go for the move? Well, he's not going to be able to around the outside. This is some great defensive driving from Julian Mookie that we're seeing.
Yeah, both of them right on the edge. You can just see Mookie going a little bit wide through a few of those corners. Still 3 minutes to go, so yeah, Ress is only a couple of tenths off the back. So yeah, I reckon we'll see another lunge.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Gap up the front has decreased a little bit as well, down to 1.2 seconds. So Mazomo's still chipping away at Daniel Hederschild's lead, but it seems to be quite the slow burner for Simon Mazomo at the moment. He's still got Martin Turner steadfastly chasing him down. Let's compare lap times briefly. 35.4 for Hederschild last time, 35.2 for Mazomo, and a 34.8 for Martin Turner. He is the fastest of our top 3, so look out for him in these final couple of minutes. Don't know if he has the pace advantage to actually mount an attack on Mazomo, but he's going to give it a red hot go.
Yeah, just looking through those times as well, you can see Turner like clearly quicker than the rest of the pack, especially on sector 5. So coming onto that straight, he seems to be getting a really good drive out of those last couple of corners.
And Hedderscheid had not the best last sector because the gap is now under a second. It's 0.795 at the line. So Simon Mazomo now really starting to pile the pressure onto Daniel Hedderscheid, and it's the penultimate lap. They will get white flag next time they cross the line. So this is going to be a very determined drive from Simon Mazomo. But can Hedderscheid hold on to pull off a double victory? That would certainly be a good thing to come away with.
Yeah, great work all round by Team Simfinity, having cars all up in that top 5. So, yeah, we'll just see if Hedderscheid will get that double header. Just catching now Jason Reese again down the ends inside of Julian Mukai.
Looks like he's managed to get the move done there at turn 1, so Jason Reese has cleared him. And I bet Jason will be hoping that's the last time he sees the bumper of that blue Mustang, because he's had a couple of mistakes that he could have done without in this race tonight. Still, he's managed to keep it going, and he is going to get a top 7 finish at the very least for his troubles if he manages to hold on. Mookie is having all sorts of adventures behind him, though. We'll have a look at the lead. This is going to be quite interesting. Now, under half a second between Hedderscheid and Mazomo, and it's going to be white flag, Nick. It's all coming down to this.
Yes, this is the closest he's been all race, so Mazomo really putting in the work to get right up on the back of Hedderscheid.
Oh, slight lock up for Mazomo right at the turn-in point, but he's now within striking distance. He can use the draft down this back stretch to Decido de Lago. If he can keep up the momentum through the middle sector, through the hairpins, he'll have a shot at victory. So it's all come down to this now between Daniel Hedderscheid and Simon Mazomo. Hedderscheid keeping it as smooth as he can, but Mazomo driving the wheels off that Fitzstyle Motorsport Holden Commodore through Ferradura for the final time. Seeing him gain just slightly on entry. Now it's all about the momentum through this section. Can Hedderscheid hit his marks and keep Mazomo behind? Martin Turner is lurking in the background as well. We cannot forget about him for third. Mazomo, slightly worse exit from the left-hander. Only one more braking zone to go now. Coming into Junsao, Mazomo is too far back to make a move. And if he did, it would certainly be optimistic. He barrels his way into the corner, puts the power down as hard as he can. It looks like Daniel Hedderscheid might have done just enough to take victory here. Through Subida dos Boxes for the final time. It's going to come down to about a car length between these guys for victory, but Daniel Hedderscheid's going to take the checkered flag. Simon Mazomo only finishing 0.146 behind him. Certainly a fantastic drive, and Martin Turner securing another third place.
Yeah, Daniel Hedderscheid, I reckon, being saved by one lap. I reckon if there was another lap in it, I reckon Mazomo probably might have had that. So, yeah, no, excellent racing by those three guys.
It's a first, a fourth, and a fifth in the top 5 for Simfinity here. Troy Maguire crossing the line to take that top 5. Good drive from him to recover the positions that he had lost on lap 1. And parking up in the runoff area for a little bit of a team photo op. Nice to see. But either way, there we go. Unofficial results for race 2 then. Hedderscheid and Mazomo, your top 2, and it only came down to less than 0.2 of a second. Martin Turner about 2 seconds back from our race winner. Stuart Crawford and Troy Maguire complete the top 5 with Jaeger Pascoe in position 6. Jason Ress holds on for 7th place. Julian Mookie finishes in 8th, and Wayne Harrison Watt, the real unlucky one out of all of this, jumping the start and having to serve a penalty while taking his pit stop. You won't be happy with how things have gone tonight, but certainly it's going to be a bit more of a season-long drive for Wayne Harrison, 4 rounds after that one. Well, now it's time to go into our post-race coverage, and the first driver joining us is our race winner, the number 35 of Daniel Hedderscheid. Welcome to the commentary box, Daniel. Congratulations on a double victory. How does it feel?
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty good. I haven't had a victory for a little while, so to come away with 2 in one night, it's great. It's a shame that there was only 10 people to beat, but I'll take it. Win's a win.
We certainly saw some good racing despite the small grid size, particularly your move to secure the lead in race 1. Just take us through that. Coming through those first couple of turns, you saw a move going on in front of you and just decided to stick the foot in.
Yeah, I seen Stuart get held up a little bit with that sort of overtake, and then, yeah, well, I'm always going to have a go at it. I seen a gap, and I got 1, and I thought, oh, well, I'll go for 2, and pulled it off. Happy with it.
Yeah, so you should be. And in race 2, it was a titanic fight between you and Simon Mazzomo in the dying stages. We reckon up here in the commentary box, one more lap and Mazzomo might have gotten you, but certainly it looked like you still had great amounts of pace to respond to his charge.
Yep. After the pit stop, I just could not get the front tires to start working. Obviously, I only changed the rears, and yeah. So when I seen him catching, I thought if I could just keep him away from getting in my toe, and then he got there, and I was starting to get a bit nervous, but yeah, managed to keep the pace just enough for him to stay behind.
Well, at the end of it, it's a double victory for you in the Ozicar V8 Series, and certainly going to help you in terms of the championship standings. Before we let you go, Daniel, is there anyone you'd like to give any shout-outs to? Any sponsors? Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, big shout out to Simfinity and the 111 boys and everyone watching you guys on your stream, my stream, and yeah, everyone, Ira, for putting the series together. It's in its early stages, but hopefully we can make something of it.
Thanks very much for joining us, Daniel Hetterscheid, your race winner in both races tonight. Next up, we're going to go to Fitstyle Motorsports' Simon Mazzomo. It's a double second place for you, Simon, but you were certainly in the running there for race 2.
Absolutely. A little bit sort of gutted. Definitely had the pace, especially the first one definitely had the pace as well. But just sort of still getting used to these cars. I've only sort of really decided in this year with the new cars and everything else to have a proper dig at them. And yeah, you can obviously tell tonight. Just still my inexperience is costing me a little, but yeah, still fantastic battling with the guys up front. That was just awesome fun.
Yeah, it did look like lovely, clean racing from you guys up in the top 4, and it was certainly a difficult fight in both races. The top 4, you, Hetterscheid, Turner, and Crawford, all fighting for the same piece of track. The pressure must have been very high.
Yeah, as you could tell in race 1, when I kind of got a little bit into the door of Stuart, just
A little bit.
but yeah, no, it was there was definitely a lot of pressure, but I had a lot of faith in everyone was around. It sort of became apparent early on that the pack were in. Everyone was going to give each other a lot of room. There was a little bit of bumping. Martin got into the back of me, into the middle section, but that was fine. Like I said, it was just a little bit of rubbing and shoving. But yeah, no, I had confidence in everyone I was racing with that. Yeah, it was going to be clean.
So I guess that sets a good precedent for the rest of the season then, Simon, with the pace that you have in this field and the cleanliness of the racing up the front. It's going to be a fun season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we see it on Wednesday nights with the turbo touring cars. Like it's the same thing. It's just brilliant racing. It's just this series just seems to get a lot of guys who want to race hard, but they're in the back of their mind they want to always keep it clean. So yeah, a bit unfortunate I missed the first race because championship wise it sort of puts me on the back foot. But yeah, at least I know when I rock up to the next few rounds, there's going to be a good fight on, and yeah, it's going to be lots of fun.
Well, before we let you go, Simon, who gets it done for you at TechSense Fitstyle Motorsport?
Of course, got to thank TechSense and Renvel for all their support. Demon Tweaks, Fight CRC, and all the other boys at the team for all the work they put in getting me up to pace.
Double second place finisher Simon Mazzomo there in the TechSense Fitstyle Motorsports Commodore. Last driver were okay. It seems Martin Turner. Oh, there he is. Martin Turner's just popped back in. There he is. Welcome, Marty. Come on, Marty. What's going on? He's out of there. Excuse me, Martin. Hello. Do you have us, Mr. Turner?
Oh, I do. Sorry. I kind of disconnected and then reconnected. Sorry about that.
No worries, mate. Well, congratulations on a double third place here at Interlagos. It must feel good.
Cheers. Yeah, no, it does feel good. Yeah, I wish there were more cars on the grid. Hopefully more people join in the coming weeks. But yeah, we had some good battles with Simon and co. So yeah, it was good fun.
It seemed to be between you and Stuart Crawford for much of the night. Let's just go back to the start of race one. It seemed like, qualifying second, it was an excellent start to the night for you, but then unfortunately you bogged down off the line. Do you think that was due to starting on the dirty side of the grid, or was it more of a technical thing on your end?
Yeah, no, it was just stupidity on my end. I just struggling to get the starts right on the V8. So I'm still sort of learning the car a bit and just having fun learning the V8. And yeah, it's the starts at my weak point at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, that kind of sucked.
Oh, well, still holding on for a double podium, which means you will definitely be helped in the championship. You were third coming out of the first round at Zolder, and with your two rivals further ahead in the championship, not here or finishing behind, certainly puts you in the box seat.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I'm not really thinking about championships at all, just sort of having fun, with the V8 and doing some different stuff and, just seeing what happens, really. But, yeah, it'd be nice to be up the top for sure.
Well, what is happening is definitely some good pace from you and consistent performances as well from 5th to 3rd in race 2. But before we let you go, Martin, anyone that you would like to thank here from 3rd place on the podium?
Just like to thank my Chicken Up teammates, Mitch and Ash, and Sim Race Designs, Baz's Fencing and Prestige Trophy and Badge, and I think that'll about do it, really. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you very much for joining us, Martin Turner, double 3rd place finisher here at Interlagos in round 2 of the Ozicar V8 Series. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, Nick. I certainly had a lot of fun here tonight, and we saw some clean racing, and we saw some great battles as well. I really think this series has potential, but we do need more drivers in. So make sure that you check out Ozicar on Facebook and get in contact, get your entry in.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So with such short seasons as well, so 6 weeks. It's not a massive commitment. It's in and out, and consistency can really move you along. Like just looking at the point standings now, we've got Martin Turner leading the championship now to Daniel Hederschild and to Stuart Crawford. Great work by them. Yeah, and like you said, it'll be great to see some more cars out in the track.
It certainly will. We will catch you this time next week for the 3rd round of the Ozicar V8 Series. But until then, we're going to say goodbye on the V8 front. We will be returning very shortly for the Australian Wingless Sprint iRacing Invitational. But until then, it's goodbye for now, but not forever from ourselves here at Simspeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner. Nick Scarrigeau joined me in the commentary box, and it's Scott Fountain on cameras. We'll catch you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Section's very close. These guys, I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?